So it's time for morning coffee with Sandy. I looked at the little thumbnail picture, that's at the beginning of this, and I look so deliriously happy, but I almost canceled the whole morning coffee this morning because I was feeling so crummy. Didn't sleep very well again. Yeah, I got a lot on my mind. But I decided this is my commitment to you, so I'm here. In fact, I even said something this morning on what do I say, what do I do, about one of the things I really like about myself is that when I say I'm going to do something, even if I don't want to, if I said I would do it, I do it. So here I am. And actually, the topic today I love the topic. It's Happy Bosses Day today, October 16th. It's my cousin Jeff's birthday. Happy birthday, Jeff. My cousin. And it's also Happy Bosses Day. I made this mug for me because I am the best boss ever. Yeah. And then there's that joke that's been going around that says, I'm self-employed. So if you see me talking to myself, please don't interrupt. I'm having a staff meeting. I have a lot of staff meetings. Good morning, Lauren. Nice to see from you, hear you, see you, whatever. So let's talk about boss for a minute, if we could. Webster's dictionary defines boss, and I'm paraphrasing. So if any of you are descendants of Daniel Webster, please don't pick on me. But basically, it's the person in charge who tells you what to do and to whom you must be responsible for doing those things. So who's your best boss, baby? How about it's you? It's the person who you slept with last night and woke up with and whose face you're washing. Or as I like to say, it's the person whose underwear you have on. But that may or may not be you. I don't know. You are your best boss. You are the person who you are ultimately responsible to. Not to all those other people who have demands and want things from you. It's all about you. Yeah. You be the boss today because it's Boss's Day. All right. How did Boss's Day start? Okay. I have this insatiable need to know all these answers. So I looked it up and here we go. It was started in 1958, I think. Let me look. Yes. In 1958, when a woman named Patricia, who worked at State Farm Insurance, registered the day as a holiday. First of all, what do you mean registered the day as a holiday? I have some more Googling to do because does that mean any of us can make up holidays? All we have to do is register them? That's pretty cool. Anyway, she registered the day as a holiday in honor of her boss. And it turns out that it coincided with her father's birthday. Turns out, coincidence? I don't think so, because her father was also her boss at State Farm Insurance. So that's how Boss's Day started. And then it just kind of caught on. So it's the day that you go and say thank you to a boss you appreciate, who you feel appreciates you, who's fair and honest and yeah, like that. I'm sure you can come up with a lot of things you don't like about bosses, especially yourself as a boss. I mean, are you like a detail person? And do you give somebody an assignment and then stand over them, making sure they do it exactly the way you would do it? Yeah, those are all issues. I remember I had a boss once. I haven't had very many bosses, by the way. But when I was a young married woman, I worked in a pharmacy for a while. And that was in the late 60s, early 70s. So I wore miniskirts. I mean, Everybody wore mini skirts, right? Anyway, I showed up to work one day in a mini skirt. Never being the slutty type, I can tell you for sure it probably was very tasteful. And my boss took one look at me and he said, "Go home and change." I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "Sign out, go home and change." It was a pharmacy, remember? And I'll never forget what he said to me. "We have sick people coming in here. I don't want them seeing you looking like that." And my thought was, why? Because it would make them feel better? But apparently that wasn't what he wanted to hear. Boy, I hated that job. Do you remember blue chip stamps? We gave blue chip stamps at the store, but I was only allowed to give them out if people actually asked for them. Apparently, the 1/16th of a penny that a stamp cost was more than he could handle. He was a tough boss. But I loved the pharmacist who worked there. He was like, he made the whole day possible. I mean, like being there made it such a happy experience. So what other bosses did I have? Let me think. I told you about my boss when I was teaching in Riverside. Yeah, he wanted me fired because I was talking during flag salute. I guess I haven't had really great experience with bosses. No, that's not necessarily true. I had a wonderful boss. I wanted to start a preschool and I hadn't finished my graduate degree in early childhood development. So I had this friend who was a professor in early childhood development, and she agreed to be the director of the preschool I was starting until I finished and got my degree and could take it over. So technically, she was my boss. Norma, she was the best boss ever. She taught me so much. So here's to, I guess, my favorite boss. Good morning, Opa. Good morning, Marlene. Nice to have you here. So bosses can be very bossy. I want to read you a few boss quotes that I thought were really good. The reason I'm sharing these with you, by the way, is because it occurs to me that if you do start to think of yourself as your own boss, which in fact you are, these could really make a difference in your mindset. So listen. A good boss makes his men realize that they have more ability than they think they have, so they consistently do better work than they thought they could. Thank you, Charles Irwin Wilson. So, make that personal now. When you are being a good boss to yourself, you will consistently tell yourself how good your work is so that you do better work. It does work. Work works. Yeah. A boss says, go and make sure you do it. A leader says, let's go and make it happen. Bosses control people. Leaders involve them. Israel Moore Avior. Bosses control people. Leaders involve them. So how about being a bossy leader? Take control of yourself, but keep yourself involved in everything that you're doing. Sounds like a good idea. Alanis Morissette has a quote about bosses. She says that the person who knows how will always have a job. The person who knows why will always have a business and will always be the boss. If you know how, you'll always have a job. If you know why, you'll always be the boss. So how about you know how and why? Then you can be the boss and get the work done. That's what I kind of would like to see everyone do. Robert Frost. I love this one. He says, by working faithfully 8 hours a day, you will eventually get to be the boss and work 12 hours a day. How about that one? Okay, wait, there's just one more I want to share with you. This one was Theodore Roosevelt, and I love it. People ask the difference between a leader and a boss. A leader leads, and a boss drives. So you could be both, right? But that wasn't the quote that I wanted to end with. I'm sorry. You know, I'm a big fan of Tina Fey. Tina Fey said, in most cases, being a good boss means hiring talented people and then getting out of their way. And that to me ties right in with today's word art, which is the journey is never anticlimactic. It's usually the prize. So how does that tie in? Because the journey is the work to get there. So get out of the way and let the journey just happen. Set down what you want to have happen and then make it happen. Yeah. But enjoy the journey getting there. And, there's a lot to be said for mindset. If you can get on a journey and not get upset or hate yourself every time something goes wrong or you make a mistake, but realize that that mistake or what went wrong is getting you one step closer to mastery, life takes on a whole different aspect, doesn't it? I mean, I can remember on a road trip a few summers ago with a girlfriend. It was raining and we were having a really good time and everything, but it was just an awful day, and we got lost. Yeah, I mean, like we got mega lost. We turned the wrong way and we probably drove 70 miles out of our way on this cross-country road trip. And we both agreed that it was probably the most fun of the 70 miles of the whole trip. That's 70 miles because we didn't know where we were. So we got to just look around and enjoy where we were instead of judging it as against what we expected it to be. The other thing we did is we just took the road not taken each time on the journey. Yeah, we were going from LA to Chicago. That was the goal, but the journey to get there, our Route 66 adventure, that's what was so cool. I don't know if I told you about that. Yeah, when I was 66 years old, I called my best friend from high school, Lolo, and I said, hey, we are 66 only for a few more months. I think now it's time to pull a Thelma and Louise on Route 66 without going off any cliffs. What do you say? And she was like an immediate yes, let's do it. So we took a road trip cross country from LA to Chicago, and we just stopped wherever we felt like stopping and took whatever side road looked interesting. Did that on the way back with my best friend from kindergarten, driving back from Chicago to Vegas. Everything that looked interesting, we went there because we were honoring the journey. Sometimes we made mistakes, and when we did, we just knew that that wasn't something we were going to do again. But we learned from every mistake. We learned from every adventure that didn't work out the way we hoped it would. And we went on to have the best journey ever in the history of journeys. Speaking of my good friend Noah Webster, and I do all the time, you notice that, right? I love to quote definitions of things. Happy birthday, Noah Webster. Yep. This was his birthday. He was born in 1758. If he were still alive, he would be very old, but he'd have a whole lot of new words in his dictionary, wouldn't he? We keep making up all these new words. I make up words all the time, but I don't think they've made their way into the dictionary yet. This is also the anniversary of George Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion. Now, if you're not familiar with Pygmalion, Pygmalion was the story for My Fair Lady, one of my favorite musicals of all time. My father loved the music from My Fair Lady, and I loved to sing it for him. I could have danced all night. I could have danced all night. And besides, I loved to do an English accent, and it was so easy to do when you were doing My Fair Lady, especially if you were having to talk like, like you were from the lower side, Yeah, My Fair Lady. Love My Fair Lady. Oh, you know what else this is? This is the anniversary of the Cuban Missile Crisis. John F. Kennedy, my favorite president of all time. See, the USSR had missiles in Cuba, which were only 90 miles off of the coast of Florida. It was a very scary time in America back in 1962. And there were some things that got bungled and some things that were misunderstood. And most people didn't realize quite how close we came to having a full-out nuclear war right then and there. I mean, was it not for someone not putting their little finger on the right button, we might not be here today. Of course, there's some of you who are kind of wishing we weren't here today. Keep pushing through it. Keep pushing through it. Whew. 1972 was a very sad day on October 16th for people like me, because it was the day that Creedence Clearwater broke up. Then there was the Creedence Clearwater Revival, and then there was Creedence Clearwater Revisited. And no matter who they are, what they are, and how many of them are still left, I love their music. So there was a concert out here in Palm Springs about, I'm going to say 5 years ago, an outdoor concert, and it was Creedence Clearwater Revisited. I took my then 5-year-old grandson with me because he loved music and dancing and concerts. And yeah, he was only 5, but he was such a cool kid, and I loved taking him places. And so there we are after bedtime. It started at 8 o'clock at night, and he's on the chair next to me standing up, and we're all excited because CCR is about to come on. And we were laughing and making noise because he's 5 and I act like I'm 5, and we were having a great time. And the people behind us got really don't make so much noise kind of thing, and turned around and said, why would you even bring a kid to a concert like this? He doesn't even know who's playing. And he looked right at them and he said, Creedence Clearwater, duh. Anyway, you had to be there. It was great. So good old Max and I sang along to every song. He stood on his chair the whole time. We danced. We had a blast. Sorry they broke up. Some of them still around. Glad to hear that. Okay, that's about it. I have a very dear friend who may be watching right now, who just found out that she's got COVID. I send you healthy wishes. Let this be a mild case, and let no one around you get the disease. I love you. I love all of you. Please wear your masks. Please stay safe. Wash your hands. No crowds, please. No crowds. Love you. Have a safe and healthy day. See you tomorrow. Bye.